Hi, my name is Father Demetri. Last night during we have a weekly Bible study here, and last night I had a question that somebody asked what the difference between knowledge and wisdom was. And the interesting thing is there is a huge difference between knowledge and wisdom. As I'm seeing all of the rioting and the violence and all the things going on in our country, I remember when our current president got elected, and I was working at a certain place, and I was talking to some people, and they told me that they were Christians. They professed to be Christians. They professed to know Jesus Christ. And now, what I'm talking to is only towards people that are Christians, because a lot of times I realized that all these letters that St. Paul wrote was to the churches, to the different places that he was ministering to. He wasn't writing to the people that didn't believe. He was writing to the people that were believers. And sometimes the people that believed were led astray. They didn't believe correctly, or whatever the case was. Well, one of those things that I've said in my past, and I tried to use Jesus' words to the best of my ability, when they were saying, I can't stand him, I can't stand him, I can't stand him. Whether you agree or not, I told them, whether you like the guy or not, whether you disagree or not, it doesn't really matter. But if you profess to be a Christian, I told them, I said, it's up to us to pray for that person. Even if you hate that person, even if he's your enemy, we're supposed to pray for him. We're supposed to pray for him. I will never pray for him, I was told. That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Some of us, a lot of us, and me included, there's certain things that I am not wise in. I have a lot of knowledge, I understand lots of things, but it takes time to have the wisdom I need to apply it to my life. What Jesus said was, pray for your enemies and turn the other cheek, and all those things that we talk about seems really hard sometimes, and it's really hard for Christians to do that, especially when it's such a hot-button topic. And even the things that are happening with the rioters and everything like that, we're called not to hate them. We're not called to curse them. We're not called to do any of those things. We're called to love them. We're called to pray for them. We're called to pray for the people that are doing those things. Whether they're good, whether they're right or wrong, in the end, it's not up to me to make that decision. I have my personal idea, my personal way of feeling with it. But ultimately, it's not up to me to judge. Ultimately, it's not up to me to criticize them. We must learn the words of Jesus Christ. We must learn what it truly means to be a Christian. If we profess to be a Christian, then we need to walk as a Christian. We need to believe as a Christian. We need to speak as a Christian. And I was also asked the question last night is, people that profess to say, Lord, Lord, some of them won't even enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, I said, that's true. I said, when people profess to know God and profess to know Jesus Christ, and they do contrary to everything that he has taught us, then maybe they won't enter the kingdom of heaven. And I'm not even talking about the people that don't even believe in God, because the people that don't believe in God, who knows how God will judge them. But I'm talking mostly to the Christians that are out there, mostly the people that profess to be believers in Jesus Christ, the people that profess to understand who Jesus Christ is. We're called to be above the world. We're called to be above all these evil things and all those things that are happening to us. We're called to put those things before the throne of God and to put those things before Christ and ask him for people's hearts to change. We're called to pray for our enemies. We're called to pray for the people that hurt us and persecute us. And when somebody smacks us on the cheek, we're supposed to turn the other cheek. These are the things that we must understand between what knowledge is and what wisdom is. You can read the Bible all of your life, and there's been plenty of people that have professed to read the Bible, and I'm sure they have. They probably read it from cover to cover. And then they say, there's no way I can follow this Bible. The God of the Old Testament is somebody that I don't want to associate with. What he commanded, what he told his people, there's no way. How can a loving God be that way? But we must use our knowledge, and we must use our wisdom to decipher what it is that we need to get out of the Bible. Because we cannot look at the Old Testament without looking through it through the lens of the New Testament. When Jesus Christ, he came to show a way that was different. He came to show a way that was new. He came to show a way that people had gone astray from what they were once doing. The Old Testament, the people that were there, God did what he had to take care of his people. He took care of his people in a way that they understood. When an enemy came, they were commanded to fight back. When a king owns an army, when a king has an army, he does everything he can to protect it. And God was no different. God protected his people. He had a covenant with Abraham. And when he made that covenant, he promised Abraham that everybody that came against him, that he would defend him against those things, against those people. And when we Christians became part of that covenant, when we were grafted onto the vine, we too became part of that protection, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be protected. We're not going to lose our lives. We're not going to lose our belongings. We're not going to do all those things. We're not going to be spared from hurricanes, all those things, earthquakes and fires. That doesn't mean that. It means that God, Jesus Christ, in his wisdom, when he took all of those things onto himself, he delivered us from the power of death. He delivered us from the power of what was ultimately held control and sway over our lives. So we need to understand the difference between knowledge and wisdom. You can read the Bible numerous times, but without the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, without the guidance of the Holy Spirit, there's no way that you'll ever be able to understand the words. There's no way that you'll ever be able to let those words become something living inside of you. As we go through these times of peril, and as we go through these times of fright and anxiety and everything like that, we need to really draw upon what Jesus told us to do, to pray for our enemies. And we need to also ask Christ to teach us how to pray for them. Because a lot of times if we're praying for our enemies, it might feel like we're doing some sort of lip service. And a lot of times when we do pray for our enemies, it is lip service. But the closer we get to the God, the more that we want to dwell within him, and we want the Holy Spirit to move us. We need to allow the Holy Spirit to teach us how to pray for those people. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what year it is. It doesn't matter what generation it is. It doesn't matter if it's 25 years from now or 30 years from now. And it didn't matter who it was when Jesus was existing. When he existed as a man here on earth, when he was hanging on the cross, when he took those nails into his wrists and his feet, he asked God to forgive them, for they didn't know what they were doing. He wasn't just praying for the Romans, and he wasn't just praying for the Jewish people that were there. He was praying for every single one of us, everyone from the beginning of time until the end of time, to forgive us, for we don't know a lot of times what we're doing. We need to go to God, and we need to ask him to give us that understanding. And we need to go to God to have him give us the knowledge that we need, so that we can turn it into wisdom, and we can begin to pray the way we're supposed to, and have mighty prayers, effectual prayers. And we need to go to God with a contrite heart and understand what purity and love is. If we profess to be Christians, we need to love. We need to hold ourselves higher than the world. We need to hold our standards higher than the world. If somebody does smack us on the face, we need to turn the other cheek to them. If somebody ridicules us, we don't need to fight back. Of course, a lot of times people argue, I'm not going to allow people to walk all over us. No, you don't. You don't allow people to walk all over you. But there is a way to do things that we can show the love that we need, and that show the love that we need to have to teach people what it means to be a Christian. A lot of times, and I'll end with this, a lot of times we Christians are the worst examples of Christ there are in the world. That's why there's so many people that don't want to believe. That's why there's so many people that don't want to become a Christian, because we can't forgive a lot of times. We don't want to overlook. We don't want to turn the other cheek. We don't want to pray for our enemies. And that's what really hurts the world of Christianity, is being bad examples of Christ. So I hope that this has blessed you. I hope this has strengthened you. I know I went over my 5 minutes. I probably went closer to 8 or 9, but I hope that you're blessed. I hope that you trust in the Lord with all of your heart and that you lean on your understanding. And I hope that you have a really great day. And I thank you so much for listening. Be blessed.